It started with a bang louder than thunder. On April 10, 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted with the force of thousands of atomic bombs. Millions of tons of ash and sulfur shot into the sky, spreading around the entire planet. By 1816, the sky had changed forever. In a small farming village in New England, young farmer Elias Thompson woke up one cold June morning to find frost covering his field. Stepped outside in confusion. Snow was gently falling in the middle of summer. The sky was a strange, hazy orange-gray color. The sun was hidden behind thick clouds of volcanic ash. God has forsaken us, whispered his wife Clara, holding their two small children close. No one understood yet that this was not just bad weather. It was the beginning of a year-long nightmare. Summer never arrived. Temperatures dropped dramatically across Europe and North America. In July and August, normally the hottest months, people woke up to freezing mornings. Snow fell in New York and Pennsylvania. In Europe, rivers froze in the middle of summer. Crops that had been planted with hope began to rot in the fields or die from frost. Elias watched helplessly as his corn and wheat turned black and withered. His neighbors faced the same fate. Food prices skyrocketed. Bread became more expensive than gold. People started killing their farm animals early because they had nothing to feed them. The sky remained dark and gloomy for months. The sun looked weak and pale like a distant candle. Many believed the world was ending. Preachers gave fiery sermons warning of the apocalypse. By autumn, the real horror began. With almost no harvest, famine spread rapidly. In Ireland and Germany, thousands died of hunger. In Switzerland, people ate grass and tree bark to survive. Elias and his family began rationing their last bags of grain. Their children cried from hunger every night. Diseases followed the hunger. Typhus and cholera spread through weak, starving populations. Desperate families wandered the roads looking for food. Some turned to steal up. Elias's neighbor, old Mr. Harper, was found frozen to death in his barn in late August. The Thompson family huddled together every night under thin blankets, listening to the freezing wind howl outside. Clara often whispered, "Will we see another summer?" Despite the suffering, the year without summer created strange beauty. The constant haze in the atmosphere produced vivid red sunsets and glowing twilights that painters called sublime. Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, and other writers gathered in Switzerland during this gloomy summer. Stuck inside by constant rain and cold, Mary Shelley wrote one of the greatest horror stories ever, Frankenstein. But for ordinary people like Elias, there was no romance in the darkness. Many went mad from the endless cold and hunger. Some claimed to see ghosts in the strange twilight. Others said the devil had taken the sun. Elias himself began having nightmares of never seeing green fields again. As 1816 finally came to an end, the skies slowly began to clear. The volcanic dust started to settle. The following year, 1817, brought a normal summer again. But the scars remained. Millions had died worldwide from famine and disease. Elias and his family barely survived by eating whatever they could find and helping each other. The year without a summer taught humanity a hard lesson. Nature is far more powerful than we realize. One volcano on the other side of the world had changed life for everyone on Earth. Elias stood in his field in the spring of 1817, watching the first green shoots appear. Tears filled his eyes. He had survived the year the sun disappeared. Today, scientists study 1816 to understand what could happen if another massive eruption occurs. The story of Elias Thompson and millions like him reminds us how fragile our world really is. Month after month, the cold refused to leave. In September, when farmers should have been harvesting golden wheat, Elias's fields were still covered in frost. The family's food storage was almost empty. They began mixing ground acorns and sawdust into their bread just to make it stretch further. Clara grew thinner every day. Their youngest child, little Anna, became too weak to play. At night, the family would huddle together by a small fire, telling stories of warmer years to keep their spirits alive. Outside, the strange orange-gray sky made everything feel like an endless gloomy twilight. The disaster was not limited to their village. News traveled slowly, but terrifying stories reached them. In Europe, the Alps were covered in snow during summer. In China and India, massive floods and crop failures caused famine. In Germany, people rioted for bread. Elias's brother, who had moved to New York, wrote a letter saying horses were freezing to death in the streets and ships could not sail because of constant storms. The entire world felt broken. Many religious leaders declared that God was punishing humanity. Some even predicted the end of the world. One freezing October night, Elias made a terrible decision. With no food left for his children, he walked 5 miles in the snow to beg from a wealthy landowner. He returned with only a small sack of barley, barely enough for a few days. That same week, Clara fell seriously ill with a fever. As Elias sat beside her, holding her cold hand, he felt something inside him break. The constant darkness and hunger were slowly destroying not just their bodies, but their hope. He wondered if they would all die before the sun ever returned. By early 1817, something miraculous started happening. The thick volcanic clouds in the atmosphere finally began to thin. For the first time in over a year, the sun appeared brighter. The days grew slightly warmer. Elias planted seeds with trembling hands, praying they would grow. Slowly, green shoots pushed through the soil. It was the most beautiful sight he had ever seen. The family celebrated with the first proper meal they had eaten in months. Though many had died, those who survived felt a deep gratitude for life. The year without summer changed the world forever. It caused massive migrations as people moved to find better land. It inspired great literature like Frankenstein. It also taught scientists how connected our planet really is. One volcano could affect the entire globe. Elias Thompson lived to old age and often told his grandchildren about the year the sun disappeared. He taught them to respect nature and never take warm summers for granted. Even today, scientists warn that if a similar eruption happened now, it could cause worldwide food shortages and chaos. The story of 1816 is a powerful reminder of how fragile our civilization truly is. Total story word count, all 10 sections, 1,450 words.